We begin today in the Bay early on this Monday morning because we are following breaking news out of the North Bay. Multiple fires forcing thousands to evacuate. We have team coverage to get you up to speed. There's a lot going on. Good morning and thanks for joining us. We're on early for a special edition of Today in the Bay to bring you all this information. I'm Laura Garcia.
And I'm Marcus Washington. A dangerous, intense situation across the North Bay.
At capacity, as well as Santa Rosa Veterans Memorial Hall building, it's now opening as well. There's concerns they may need even more evacuation centers, so as they open, we'll of course let you know about that.
All right, now we want to go to Tom Jensen. He's at Kaiser in Santa Rosa. And Tom, what's going on where you are right now?
Look, this is how crazy it is. There's a fire kicking up right here next to the hospital where we are right now, right where the bus was going to go. It's swung around with all of those patients to the other side of the parking lot here, heading out toward the north now. They were trying to go out to the south. A fire has now started right here next to Kaiser Permanente. And so now you know why they're trying to get all of these people out here. Not only the smoke, but the fire danger here is extremely serious. I mean, we're in town right now and another spot fire has kicked up right here. So this situation is changing so quickly. I've been on a lot of fires and I have never seen anything like this before. This bus, the one bus that we showed you earlier, is now full of patients and it's heading out, as I said, trying to find an evacuation location. Finley Community Center is full. I don't know if you heard that, but there was another explosion just not too far from us. We don't know what these explosions are coming from, whether they're cars or possibly a fuel tank at somebody's house, a gas, some sort of gas line or something. You can see the flames kicking up behind these vehicles that are driving into the hospital parking lot right now.
Look at that.
People are actually running for their lives. We've got people in wheelchairs getting pushed out of here. We've got people with respirators,
Tom, do you know where they were coming
from? This is a situation like, pardon?
Do you know where, we're looking at them bring a person on a bed. Do you know where they were coming from? It's like they were coming from where the fire
They've got a patient on a bed, right. They've got a patient on a bed with IVs hooked up that they're bringing out right now. This is an extremely volatile situation. As I said, nothing. I was on the Yellowstone fires. I haven't seen anything like this as far as being close to structures, being close to a large population of people. Nothing like this before. Spot fires actually kicking up in town. You know, we've heard about them blowing up all over in the forest when these wildfires start, but this is a situation like these emergency crews here have probably never seen before. They're just scrambling in every direction. I can imagine how hard it is to keep on top of this.
I can't imagine. This is heartbreaking to see this hospital being evacuated and you see the fire burning so close.
Kind of update us on what's going on there now.
Well, I can tell you that we do know where these people are going now. We're being told that they're going to the Veterans Memorial Center on Maple here in Santa Rosa. So that evacuation center is becoming a pseudo hospital itself and obviously filling up quickly. They're bringing hundreds of people out, patients out of this hospital, and of course Sutter Hospital, as we said earlier, being evacuated as well. We see people standing around with walkers and respirators waiting for a ride, loading this stretcher up right now onto an ambulance to take them to the Veterans Memorial, where they're going to be treated by nurses. IVs you can see hooked up to this person. Several people having to get that person loaded. Excuse me. The smoke is pretty heavy out here. Getting that person loaded up onto this ambulance. We've seen ambulances from all over now coming in from around the region. Sonoma Raceway had ambulance come in and pick up somebody in a stretcher or a bed just a short time ago, and they took off. That bus that we saw loaded before, as I said, was filled to capacity, and it is now going to Veterans Memorial.
Has been just heartbreaking to watch. Tom Jensen has been there at the heart of it all at the Kaiser Hospital in Santa Rosa with the very latest, where they've been taking busloads of people out of the hospital to trying to get them to kind of a makeshift hospital, you were telling us, Tom.
Yeah, they're going to Kaiser, San Rafael. I got to talk about this right now, though. This is right behind the hospital, you guys. This is a mobile home park completely flattened by fire. We've got firefighters in here trying to save what they can. But if we move over to the left here, Henry, you can see this is what they're battling. These mobile homes went up. We do know that some of the explosions were coming from here, possibly propane tanks. Those explosions we heard earlier. This entire mobile home park, dozens and dozens of people's homes are just flattened here. The gentleman we talked to just a little bit ago who told us what we would see if we came up on top of this parking structure here at Kaiser said he was trying to get his uncle off the hill behind us who lives up there. He said he did get out safely, but he said there are also homes up on the hillside that are just destroyed. He's certain that his uncle's home is destroyed. I can tell you, though, looking down on top of this mobile home park, that there are dozens of people's homes that are they've burned to the ground tonight, and firefighters are actually in the middle of this. We've been watching them try to put water on some of the homes that are still up, doing what they can, but this looks like a fruitless situation, something that would be impossible to win here.
Mark Matthews. He is now in the Coffee Park neighborhood. He's been there this morning. We've seen the aftermath. He's with a woman now who lost her home, and just a devastating time for her, I'm sure, this morning.
As far as you can see behind me here on Santiago Drive, there are burned out homes, at least 10 of them. This place that we are looking right here, this remains the motorcycle, the washing machine and dryer. This belonged to Sherry Sharp, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and gone.
Gone.
How long have you lived here, Sherry?
I've lived here for 26 years, raised my kids here. All our pictures are gone. Everything's gone. We've got a fire pit. It's pretty awful. But we're all healthy and safe, and we have to just try to be grateful for that, but it's pretty awful.
Were you here last night when this happened?
Yes, we just heard the wind, smelled smoke. I asked my son if he had burned something, and he said no, it's just fires around us. And then we turned on the news, and we heard that the Kohl's was on fire, and so we just threw some things together, but there's a lot of things that we left behind. Pictures.
Lifetime's worth.
Yeah, memories.
Can you describe for me what we're looking at here? What was it?
Oh God, it was a beautiful, loving home. This was my kitchen, and we got some new flooring not too long ago, new appliances. My husband's Harley Davidson. The boys' rooms, our room. We had this beautiful backyard that we had this great landscaper design, and this was a bocce court, just a small bocce court that we used to have fun playing on.
Will you rebuild?
Oh yeah, we'll make it good again. You know, this is home, and it looks like it's going to take a while.
After 27 years, I can understand you wanting to stay. I guessed that there were 10 homes burned as we looked down Santiago. Is that an accurate number from what you can tell me?
I would say so. I haven't even driven down there or walked down there.
Were there fire crews here last night when...
I never heard a thing. I never saw a firefighter. I never heard anybody warn us to leave. It was pretty much if we wouldn't have made a decision to leave on our own, we'd never heard anything on the cell phones, no emergency information. We would have burned. I can't believe there's not more people dead. Maybe there is.
Sherry Sharp talking to us from the Coffee Park neighborhood. As we looked down this way, we saw the 10 or so lots. They're really lots now. All the houses are gone. But take a look back this direction. Looking north of Santiago, across San Miguel, as far as you can see in this direction. More homes burned. Scores of homes just in this one neighborhood have been completely destroyed by this fire that swept through the neighborhood last night, early this morning. Winds gusting, sparks flying, and the devastation is complete. Reporting from Coffee Park in Santa Rosa, Mark Matthews, NBC, Bay Area News.
Gosh, it's just heartbreaking to hear, you know, the sadness in her voice in arriving there. I know, exactly. And sadly, we're going to hear more and more stories like that as we see the devastation behind them.
We're just about a block away from a Kohl's department store and a storage unit that was a real hot spot last night. And you're looking at the remains of an Applebee's and a McDonald's and an Arby's that are completely burned up. Vivian Muscat was here last night. Vivian, can you show us the front of your car and tell us how close you were to the fire?
I was in the car. And I heard this big flame shoot up. And I was in the back seat. And I was trying to get out. And I couldn't open the door. So I had to climb over the seat so I could get out. And these two guys came. And it's horrible.
While Vivian is talking about being in the car, I want you to take a look at the front end of her car. The headlights have melted. The bumper has melted from the flames that swept in last night.
That's what woke me up, you know. I thought I was going to die. Because the flames, I didn't want to get out. The planes were coming. And then I was trying to look for a towel so I could wet myself and get out.
He's in the Santa Rosa area, which also received significant damage. Behind you, a mobile home park that was flattened. You talked to a resident earlier. Her home was saved, but the rest of her neighbors, their homes destroyed.
They really are, and it's just utter devastation here at the Journeys and Mobile Home Park. There's nothing left, just a bunch of charred and molten metal here in this mobile home park right next to Highway 101 here in the city of Santa Rosa. And usually, folks, it takes about a day or two for them to come back and see what's left of their home. But Miss Josephine Fleming here didn't want to waste any time. She came over right now, and you were able to, well,
these are that I had for my little area in the front, and they were beautiful little. I had them painted and fixed, and they all were like beautiful, and I'm saving them.
Ms. Fleming, I don't know how you do it, because if I returned to my home and it looked like this, I would be devastated. I wouldn't be able to speak.
Well, you got to go along with the thing. Whatever's planned for you, that's what you have to do.
Is that the New Yorker in you?
Bet your life. Bet your life.
Tell us what it was like. I mean, police, I hear, evacuated folks here at about 3 a.m.
Well, no, I was left earlier because we saw it really getting hectic, and it was like orange and just really deep, just an ugly color, and you knew something was going to happen. For 2 days I seen that, and then all of a sudden it started to go, and we took off even before it got worse. What
were you able to grab to take with you?
Pardon me?
What were you able to grab to take with you as you were leaving?
We didn't take anything. We just got out. I just got out. There was none of that, I got to get that. No, we'll get it later. And that's how it went.
Your thoughts on what you're seeing, what used to be your home?
It was a beautiful, beautiful place. And I'm sorry that this has happened, because it was great. And I'm so sorry for the rest of the people who lived in the park.
What do you tell your neighbors? Your neighbors, everything, they're in the same situation you're in now. Everything's destroyed for them.
Well, I just tell them, move on. You never know if something else is going to be worse coming up. You don't know. So as long as we got out of it, just say thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fleming. All the best to you. Thank you so much for talking.
Thank you.
Janelle, we made our way up from Miramonte, Fountain Grove to, we were talking about this earlier. We wanted to know if my in-law's house was still standing. As you know, as journalists, we never want to make the story about us. It is always about the community. It is about the viewers that we care about and that we do a public service for. But this is a community of 50 homes up here in the Crystal Drive, Crystal Court area of Santa Rosa, right up Rebley Road, Mark West Springs. People who live here know exactly what I'm talking about. and there's nothing left of a 2-story home that has been my husband's family home for 40 years. You're looking at the garage right there, and this is essentially, you can see the frame, you can see a couple of paint cans, a metal filing cabinet over here, the washer and dryer. Essentially, as we've seen with all the homes in the communities that we have been to, anything that is made of metal is still standing, or at least you can still make out the framework. That would be the shells of cars, that would be the appliances. Over there, what you're looking at is where the kitchen was, where the furnace was, and the range and the stove. There's an air conditioner.
I'm Jessica Aguirre, live in the fire zone here in Santa Rosa.
And I'm Raj Mathai.
And I'm Janelle Wang. Devastation and disbelief. Still so much to do, still so much unknown. This is one of more than a dozen wildfires burning in Northern California right now. The destruction widespread.
If you're just now tuning in, we've been coming to you nonstop since 4 in the morning. Let's take a look now at the 2 biggest fires, both in the North Bay. You can see the graphic there. Sonoma County, it's burned down several neighborhoods in Santa Rosa, and in Napa County along the Silverado Trail. I want to show you some video now of one of the hardest hit neighborhoods, and if you've been watching us for any amount of time now, this is the Coffee Park neighborhood in Santa Rosa, and you can see what we've been seeing for several hours, just entire sections of the neighborhood, luxury homes, mobile home parks, and regular middle-class family homes gone. 25,000 acres have burned. Mandatory evacuations are underway as hundreds of homes, initially it was dozens of homes, hundreds of homes now have been destroyed. One of the evacuations happening here. Some video now from early this morning. Patients being rushed out of the Kaiser Hospital in Santa Rosa. There was flames right around the hospital. Thankfully, the hospital was untouched, but what you're seeing here, one of the 130 patients who were evacuated, many of them taken to the Kaiser in San Rafael. And just a short distance away, the Atlas fire burning off Atlas Peak Road. This is south of Lake Berryessa. 30,000 acres burning in this fire. Many evacuees still in the dark because they don't know if their homes or businesses have been destroyed.
NBC Bay Area's Jessica Aguirre is in the fire zone in the middle of the Santa Rosa neighborhood that's been destroyed by this wildfire. Jessica, what are you seeing?
Well, Janelle and Raj, if you ever wondered what hell looks like, this is it right now. I'm in the Coffee Park neighborhood. I want to show you. I'm on a street called Dogwood, and behind me is a sweet gum. Okay, so it runs. This neighborhood, on both sides of this neighborhood, on this side, gone. If you walk over here and you look on this side, also gone. As far as the eye can see, all you see is charred, burned down homes, the remnants of what used to be people's lives. Now, most of the people in this neighborhood had to flee at 2 o'clock in the morning, and some of them are just starting to come back in, including this family right here. This is Lisa Wanan and her family. She's a nurse, a single mom, had this house here for 9 years. She just came back a couple of hours ago. We spoke to her when they were gathering there, came back to see that her house is devastated.
That's right, Scott. Actually, we moved across the street from that mobile home park. We're now in front of the Hilton Hotel behind me, and this has been a slow burn throughout the morning, throughout the afternoon, and now throughout the evening. This is what's left of the Hilton Hotel that overlooked the Highway 101 northbound here, headed north from Santa Rosa. It's destroyed, for lack of a better term. And the good news, I guess, is that it's not warm up here. It's not humid up here. It's actually kind of cool. No wind at all. And so hopefully that helps the fire conditions, because we know what humidity does to those fire conditions and what the wind does. It's been obvious here throughout the wine country area for the last few hours. But things have calmed down, but just utter devastation here in this part of Santa Rosa. This was a hotel that was high up on a mountainside, and it was overlooking the entire valley here in Santa Rosa, and now it's just it's gone.
Fast, furious, and on the move. As night falls across the North Bay, those flames continue to spread.
Well, we're not comfortable yet calling any portion of this fire contained.
And now a new reality is setting in.
And that curfew is in effect. If you are caught in a mandatory evacuation neighborhood, you will be arrested.
While some people are forced to flee, others are returning home to see firsthand the devastation and the heartbreak.
Just, we had a lot of good years there. Yeah. And maybe we will again.
it didn't hit me till right now talking about it.
NBC Bay Area's coverage of the North Bay wildfires begins right now. What we're seeing is not just deadly, but also historic, and it's going to be another long night. If you're just now joining us, we've been live streaming since 4 a.m. I'm Raj Mathai.
And I'm Janelle Wang. We've been bringing you non-stop coverage from our NBC Bay Area studios.
And I'm Jessica Aguirre, live here in the fire zone, 25 hours in, and this deadly inferno is not done with Northern California yet. The fury of this fire seems to know no respite. There are numerous fires still burning through Northern California. Let's give you a look at this so you can see what we're dealing with at this point. Flames are dotting the landscape across Northern California. 10 people confirmed dead at this hour, 7 people in Sonoma County, 2 in Napa County, 1 in Mendocino County, 114,000 people without power, 30,000 without gas at this point. Want to tell you about some notable fires that are still burning at this hour. We're talking about 4 fires in Sonoma County and Napa County, 60,000 acres blackened so far. The scope of this is just monstrous. 30,000 acres in the Tubbs fire, 25,000 acres in the Atlas fire. Now, about 2 hours ago, they ordered new evacuations, mandatory evacuations in a rural part of Solano County. People who thought that maybe they were out of the woods are not. They're being forced for their homes.
We watched the flames travel toward Twin Sisters Road in unincorporated Fairfield, where million-dollar homes line the road, surrounded by trees and vegetation.
Basically, we're just defending the structures and taking heat as we're going down the mountain.
At this point, firefighters say that's all they can do.
We don't know what the wind's going to do.
Putting firefighters at a disadvantage. Just before nightfall, volunteers rushing to remove livestock before the area becomes blanketed by smoke and flames. We were here about a half hour ago taking pictures of the flames right over the ridge. But right now, the wind has picked up and these flames have caught up with us. At one point, the fire jumped the road. We felt trapped as we headed down the mountain, surrounded by flames. And you know what? It was really scary earlier today. And I have to say that being up there surrounded by those flames, it was really no joke.
Right now at 6:30, grisly discoveries during a very grim search. Tonight, the death toll rises in Sonoma County as crews continue to search through those decimated neighborhoods. Now, firefighters continue to fight the flames, but sheriff's crews are still searching for the missing.
Yeah, hundreds still missing. And tonight, the sheriff's department announced that 19 people have now been killed by the fires in Sonoma County, most of them from the Santa Rosa area. That's where we can find NBC Bay Area's Jody Hernandez. She's with sheriff's deputies today as they search for those victims. What'd you find, Jody?
Well, I'll tell you, crews have been searching neighborhoods like this one, trying to find victims. Tonight, as you mentioned, the Sonoma County Sheriff confirmed the discovery of one more victim here in Santa Rosa. But the Alameda County Sheriff tells me that crews have actually located the bodies of as many as 5 more victims. The Alameda County Sheriff's Department is responsible for recovery. He says that his teams will be out tomorrow morning to recover those victims, hopefully bringing closure to more families. Search and recovery teams from 4 different counties spent the day scouring the Journey's End mobile home park, looking for victims.
We had reports of 2 missing people in this mobile home park. We had crews of 50 search and rescue people out of 4 teams, 4 different counties. And out of those 2 missing people, we were able to find 1 body.
At least 250 people remain missing. Recovery teams are doing all they can to find them. Aviation crews are using drones to take video footage of the burned out areas and are also on the lookout for remains.
Trying to sort out where the highest concentration of reports are. Sometimes it's apartment buildings, sometimes that's houses where people knew people were at. And if we can get in there and locate people, we want to give people some closure in that area.
We are back here live again. The Sonoma County Sheriff just gave us some updated figures. He says that they now have 235 missing person reports. That's down from 250, so that is good news. Again, the Alameda County Sheriff telling me that they have located the bodies of as many as 5 more victims. They'll be out tomorrow morning hoping to recover those remains. Reporting live in Santa Rosa, I'm Jody Hernandez, NBC Bay Area News.
All right, let's turn things over to Vicki Wynn. She joins us in the Bennett Valley area of Santa Rosa. And Vicki, this is technically Santa Rosa, but you're west of 12. You're right there by Kenwood, too.
That's exactly right. We're just on the other side of Oakmont where we last came to you. We decided to move because we wanted to show you some of the active fire that's burning in the Nuns Fire. And here it is. This is fire burning right now, just about 100 feet away from a home downhill right here. This is 5389 Bennett Valley Road, and I'm happy to report to you there is a crew of 4 San Francisco firefighters on the driveway of this home with their engine ready in case any of this fire jumps the bulldozer line. And let me show you. This is exactly what you're going to see ground crews doing. This wide swath of dirt, this wasn't here before. They came through at some point today with heavy equipment and cut this dozer line. And that is going to help protect this home from the flames that you see right above it, less than 100 feet away. So the effort is on in earnest. You have inmates out here on the line. You have fire crews coming from all over the state to come and protect these homes in Santa Rosa. And so the firefighters we talked to, they are keeping an eye on this, but they say this is a good sign because temperatures are cooling down. This line provides a lot of protection. Of course, they have an engine here, so it is a priority. But they think that this is going to eventually just burn itself out.
As we've been showing you throughout the week now, there are also various evacuation centers across the burn zone set up just to help the thousands of the evacuees.
Yeah, dozens and dozens of them. And our Chris Kimura, our consumer investigators, live at the one at Napa Valley College. A lot of people at that evacuation center needing your help.
Yeah, 391 people are spending the night here, Janelle. We are set up in the parking lot because we know that there is a need far beyond this Napa Valley College campus. We are set up out here handing out the critical N95 masks. You can see them right here. We have fewer than 1,000 left. We bought 2,800 of them. We bought them in the South Bay, and we worked with retailers and wholesale suppliers to get them to us because we knew that up here in the North Bay they were very difficult to come by, and in some cases there were stores that were charging upwards of $11 for one of these things that usually go for $1 or $2. Now, earlier today, we wandered around this area trying to hand them out person to person because we know not everyone is here at the shelter.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we met with Napa residents at police checkpoints as they anxiously waited to check on their homes. At very smoky Silverado Trail, evacuees were concerned about their property, but also about the relentless smoke in the air. These hard-to-find masks were a welcome sight, even if they have to return to shelters and hotels another night.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We've been staying in a hotel in Fairfield for ever since.
And how's the air been?
Horrible.
Later, we were able to work our way north, where we distributed some masks to people who were returning to little or nothing. That mask is little solace, but still essential in this ash-covered area. We met an exhausted CAL FIRE crew, by the way, that took a bag of masks to distribute to residents on their patrols. And we even swapped the mask for Angie, the local letter carrier, Alicia, rather, the local letter carrier, who is attending to her appointed route despite the fire and smoke. So we are here in the parking lot of Napa Valley College. We are here until 8 p.m. and we welcome you to come out here just off the main road, just off the main entrance. You can drive right by and we'll hand them out. That's my colleague Arlen Fernandez from Telemundo 48, the consumer investigator over there. She's here to help out. She's here to answer questions in Spanish, and I'm here to answer those questions in English. Back to you guys in the studio.
We got you covered.
Firefighters releasing incredible new video tonight of what they saw the very first night of the North Bay fires. Members of Berkeley Engine 6 say they thought they were responding to a grass fire near Santa Rosa. When they got closer, though, they were surprised to see the glow of flames within city limits. Just the beginning of their shock and disbelief, the Kmart, which they were supposed to use as a staging ground, was burning. They ended up near a gas station. It was on fire, too. You can hear firefighters in the background wonder Why structures were being allowed to burn out of control, well, now it's very understandable. There was nothing anyone could do to stop those flames. Too much, too fast. The video was shot early Monday morning.
Well, following our reports from last week asking why Sonoma County did not activate its mass cell phone alert system, both of California's senators sent a scathing letter to the feds. They say the FCC needs to make it possible for the mass alert to reach more targeted and specific areas during a disaster. NBC Bay Area senior investigative reporter Vicki Nguyen was in Santa Rosa for several days for us and joins us tonight back here in studio. And Vicki, what do you have?
Well, Raj, what happened in Sonoma County was a wake-up call for everyone this week. We've learned that if there was a major earthquake or another deadly disaster, millions of people may not receive any alert.
Nothing was on my cell phone or my home phone. I'm an old timer and I still have landlines. In fact, I have 2 landlines.
Seeing his home in Mark West Estates for the first time, Brett Gripe is grateful for the fast actions of his friends, the Honinghausens, who warned him after their own home caught fire on Wickiup Bridge.
Just happy to be alive. I just want my friend to get the credit because she saved people.
Thursday, Sonoma County Emergency Manager Christopher Helgren told us he and his staff decided not to activate the county-wide Wireless Emergency Alert, or WEA, because of concerns about causing widespread panic and traffic jams.
Because it was an evacuation situation and we wanted to specifically target the residents who were in immediate danger, we decided that we were going to target those areas and make sure that those people had a way to evacuate.
WEA goes to all cell towers in a targeted area automatically. You've likely gotten an Amber Alert on your phone through WEA. Sonoma County has had the system since July of 2016, but has never used it. Helgren instead chose the SoCo Alert. Residents have to sign up for the SoCo Alert. Just 15,000 of Sonoma County's 500,000 residents were registered before the fire.
If it's a major fire where we need them to get out of a community, the better we make the message and what we want them to do to get out of harm's way, the more likely we are to save lives.
Jeff Norris is the emergency coordinator for San Mateo County. He says WEA can be used to alert residents countywide, even if only some need to evacuate.
If we give them good directions, we hope that they'll follow that, and that'll get them to safety.
But some counties don't have access to WEA, while others don't know how to use it. In San Jose, city leaders could have asked Santa Clara County to warn residents before their homes flooded in February. Counties instead rely on local alert systems. All those systems require residents to sign up, but as you can see, very few have. We've learned in Sonoma County, 3% are signed up. Santa Clara County, 4%. San Mateo County has 9%.
Thank God, right? Thank God.
As for Brett Gripe, the 22-year veteran of the Novato Police Department is unsure where he will spend his retirement after building a life at this home since 1987.
I don't know what happens to a town when so many neighborhoods are just devastated.
Sonoma County leaders and many others say they also rely on reverse 911 calls to landlines, but even those systems don't hit everyone. As you heard Brett say, he never got a landline call. So the bottom line is sign up for your county's emergency alerts with your home and your work address. We've also posted a list of what to do now to get ready for that next emergency. That's all at NBCBayArea.com.
Now to the North Bay wildfires, an extremely difficult day. For the first time since they ran for their lives, residents of Santa Rosa's now decimated neighborhoods return to sift through the rubble.
The area has been off limits for 11 days now, but today the city allowed some folks to return home to grieve and see what their neighborhoods look like. This includes Coffey Park, Orchard Park, and Journey's End. For most people, it wasn't really a chance to go home, but a chance to find anything left.
Attention is also beginning to turn to the cause of the wildfires. Investigators have zeroed in on 17 suspected points of origin, including one near Calistoga. Also today, CAL FIRE announced the Tubbs Fire is now the most devastating, destructive wildfire in California history. All 5 major fires in the North Bay are nearly fully contained.
We have continuing team coverage of the North Bay fires. We begin with NBC Bay Area Sam Brock live in Coffey Park, who spent yet another day with folks coming back to their home. Sam.
Jessica, there really are no words to adequately describe what I saw today on every single street here, down every block, on every corner. Just people standing on mounds of ashes, sifting through what used to be their homes. Now, I will say many of them summoned an army of friends and relatives and anyone they knew to come out there to help them, as this was truly a labor of love. A landscape bearing no resemblance to its former self. The only thing familiar about a now pocked Coffee Park neighborhood is the sight of the people who once lived there.
You always pass down your memory box to your kids when they hit a certain age.
With their shovels pitched and sifters searching for family heirlooms, their richest prospect for hope yet.
Everything obviously is gone from our wedding, right? We've been married 11 years, but we found this, the wax seal that we used on our wedding invitations. And to me, that's like the ultimate find.
A tub of items recovered on this plot of land. Watches, jewelry, silver dollars. Stokes optimism for the Rinkers, who just celebrated their son's 10th birthday the night of the fire with a bike that's now burnt beyond recognition.
He's an emotional kid. He really loves his stuff and the gifts, and he cherishes those things. And so he was definitely disappointed to see the stuff kind of charred and melted.
All right, we're going to take a lunch break.
But on a day otherwise drenched in disappointment, a breakthrough.
I really didn't think that I was going to find it, but I was just standing here, and this is where the end of my bed was.
The discovery of a gold ring with a purple stone gifted to Erica by her husband on their anniversary. A ring that the entire family spent hours trying to dig up.
There was two things I cared about finding, and I found one of them. So it's just hope, you know, moving forward.
Every fire, no matter how big, has to stop somewhere. Once the flames died down in Santa Rosa, there was always going to be a house that burned next to one that didn't. It could be due to wind or weather.
I went to the neighbor. I said, it's time to go.
But on Randon Way,
I'm like, okay, hold this wall, that's done.
It was due to Wayne.
And I was spraying over top of this guy's house.
Wayne Sims is the hero of what's left of his neighborhood. Half a dozen homes that still stand because Wayne stood up to the fire as Sunday night burned into Monday morning. This, a picture of Wayne a neighbor snapped on his way out to safety. At first, it was just Wayne and a garden hose. But then a couple of firefighters showed up.
He asked me, are you a fireman? I said, I am today.
They handed Wayne a bigger hose, and he went to work protecting his and his neighbors' homes. He says he now understands why it's called a firefight.
Just yelling at it, you know, like, I can't tell you what I said, but it wasn't.
You were yelling at the fire.
Absolutely, I was fighting the fire. I mean, I understand those terms now to that extent, you know.
Wearing a helmet given to him by his brother, a retired New York firefighter, Wayne saved what he could and now regrets what he couldn't.
I wanted to be everywhere, you know, but I was limited to what I could do at that time.
As for his neighbors, well, words hardly do justice to their gratitude.
No, there really isn't. How can I repay him? How could you?
He risked his life. I mean, how much? It's an amazing thing.
Am I proud of that? Absolutely. You know, do I recommend it to people to do that? No. You know.
In Santa Rosa, Garvin Thomas, NBC Bay Area News.
Well, new questions tonight in the wake of the North Bay wildfires. This centers around PG&E and its policies about trees and live power lines.
PG&E permits 1 out of 100 trees to violate state power line clearance standards and still pass audits. 1 out of 100 trees, critics say, is way too many. Investigative reporter Jackson Vanderbecken has more.
Our people are well trained. Our patrols are terrific. We're on time. Everything is going great.
That's PG&E's CEO, Geisha Williams, over the summer in civil deposition testimony over the 2015 Butte fire. She was talking about her company's efforts to prevent power lines from sparking wildland fires.
We also have one of, if not the most comprehensive vegetation management programs in the country.
That's Williams talking to shareholders last week, touting the $400 million the company spent on tree clearance last year, twice as much as usual because of the drought. As CAL FIRE probes whether down lines played a role in the firestorm that leveled more than 6,000 homes and businesses, we've learned that PG&E's North Coast region had long been identified as under the greatest risk of tree-caused wildfire. This 2013 internal analysis of 5 years of wildfire data found the North Coast faced 3 times the danger as the rest of PG&E's territory. Amanda Riddle is one of the attorneys in the Butte fire litigation. She contends PG&E was clearly not ready for that threat.
What we know is PG&E's vegetation management program is really worth nothing more than the paper it's written on.
One problem, she says, is that PG&E's auditors gave out passing grades when 1 out of 100 trees they checked was too close to power lines. While that 99% ratio may sound good, keep in mind that PG&E has 55 million trees near its power lines.
That means over 500,000 trees out there could fall into power lines and cause a wildfire. And obviously that shouldn't be acceptable to anybody.
Bob Kagan, a retired lawyer with the Public Utilities Commission, agrees.
You cannot accept any tree that does not, or any pole, or any component that does not meet minimum standards. Your safety goes awry.
Worse, Riddle said, is when it can't reach that 99% compliance rate, PG&E just expands its universe of trees.
And so what PG&E does when it doesn't pass is it basically cheats. It adds more miles and more miles until it reaches a passing grade.
In court filings, PG&E says expanding an audit sample does not jeopardize safety. That's something that Kagan, who handled the case over the deadly San Bruno fire, can't understand.
Failure occurs at the weakest link in the system. It doesn't matter that there are 100 good poles if that one pole is going to fail.
PG&E told us that the way they score their audits is statistically valid and follows industry best practices. Their methodology, they told us, provides a reasonable way to monitor compliance levels and audit PG&E's vegetation management activities. Jackson Vanderbecken, NBC, Bay Area News.
The North Bay fires might be out, but the concern remains. Can this happen again?
Critics say that CAL FIRE, the state's largest fire department, is great at putting out fires, but may not be very good at preventing them. Investigative reporter Liz Wagner has the story.
Jess and Raj, our investigation uncovered a tangled web of fire prevention efforts that some experts say fall short of what's needed to make a difference. Extreme weather, rotting trees, and longer fire seasons mean the clock is ticking on the next disaster. You're looking at the Blodgett Forest up in the Central Sierra. A stunning landscape from the air, but a powder keg down below.
Fire wants to burn uphill.
Dr. Brandon Collins of UC Berkeley and his team are learning how to save these wildlands.
Flame on the ground.
By setting fire to them.
The goal ultimately is not to eliminate fire from these landscapes. They're fire adapted. They've been that way for thousands of years.
He says California forests used to burn all the time, but before scientists started doing research here, Blodgett hadn't burned in a century. What we're looking at here is fire prevention.
It is. No,
Dr. Scott Stevens runs UC Berkeley's Fire Science Lab. He's studying ways to make forests more fire resistant and to slow the spread when wildfires do happen. This is the third time in 15 years the team set fire to this exact plot of land. They say burns like this need to happen more often in more places.
To do this and really make a difference in the landscape, we would have to do this at much bigger areas. And that's the thing that worries us, is we're not doing it. We're not even close.
Why?
We really don't have a lot of experience doing this in California. We got to train a workforce.
Stevens says building that workforce is a challenge. Right now, fire prevention is divvied up among a variety of agencies.
Literally.
Oftentimes, workers from nonprofits like the Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council fill in the gaps.
So what we did is we cleared this area down here, which was really thick with all that dead vegetation.
They built this 2-mile fuel break near homes in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
So that vegetation just grows up and up and up.
They point out the area faces the same dangers as the Sonoma County communities that burned to the ground last month. CAL FIRE is responsible for protecting that neighborhood in Santa Clara County. The agency oversees about a third of the land in the state. That's why forest economics expert Bill Stewart says CAL FIRE should take the lead on an aggressive prevention program. But he says it's not equipped to do it.
It is basically a
fire department.
Stewart says the agency has made some progress, but lacks the scientists and staffers needed to coordinate a statewide effort.
That's really not what they were designed to do, and yet they're being dragged into it.
So we really are working to change the paradigm to put more time and energy into preventing fires and doing work.
Daniel Berlant serves as one of CAL FIRE's deputy directors. He says the agency has focused on beefing up defensible space inspections, brush clearance, and prescribed burns. But critics say it's not enough.
Their perspective is CAL FIRE should be setting the tone from the top, that we need to start work on these big forest projects, and that sort of trickles down.
The last couple of years, our director has actually set some very high goals for our firefighters to do more in fire prevention, specifically to do more with prescribed burning.
But in this July memo, CAL FIRE's director says the agency fell short on some of those goals, meeting 70% of the prescribed fire target.
Should CAL FIRE be advocating to the governor for more resources, more funds to do the really important work that your agency has acknowledged needs to happen?
Both this administration as well as the legislature have invested more money into doing fire prevention work.
CAL FIRE recently received a $200 million windfall from Sacramento. Aside from this one-time boost, the agency spends $75 million on fire prevention each year. But that's just 4% of the total budget. Meanwhile, scientists working in the Blodgett Forest hope their new techniques for mitigating megafire become a priority.
And it's really something that gets a little more traction every year, but it doesn't feel like it ever gets out of the gate.
CAL FIRE recently signed an agreement with several agencies to increase the pace and scale of controlled burns, and the agency also grants money to local fire departments and fire-safe councils. Sources agree, though, it's going to take an extra push from lawmakers for CAL FIRE to make fire prevention a real priority. Jess and Raj.